Thank you, Tucker. Well, Hillary Clinton blaming her mental health for email confusion. So what does this mean as far as her ability to lead? And does the admission hurt or help her from a legal perspective? Let's dive into it. Joining us now are physicians Dr. Nina Ratcliffe and Dr. Kelly Powers. Down there in the blue and the red. And then that's pink, right? That's Erin Ehrlich. She's an attorney. All right, let's dive into it. So we're going to get the doctors and the lawyers in on this. From the legal perspective, Erin, the argument is that, you know, I don't remember. Is that a good, that lawyers will often tell their clients, you know, just say you don't remember? Well,
you have to be careful about that. Lawyers do have an ethical responsibility. We do not have the ability to tell our clients, even if it is in their best interest, to perjure themselves. And she wasn't under oath, but she was participating in an FBI investigation, so there's still this air of authority. She has to be candid. But if what she's telling her attorneys is that she's not quite clear on the details, it's a perfectly acceptable answer to say, I don't remember, even if at one time she maybe did know the answer.
So should this be a concern, her health, right? She says that she didn't remember certain briefings. This is coming out of the FBI, 58 pages, that she didn't remember certain briefings because she was only supposed to be there a few hours a day, according to her doctor. Is that a concern? Is that fair game?
Well, you know, it's hard to say. As a medical professional, you know, it's very subjective. What we do know is her timeline. So she does have an extensive health history.
Let's put it up here. So you're speaking of the timeline, docs. Let's dive into it. 1998, what is this?
1998, she has a DVT in her leg. A DVT is a deep vein thrombosis, which means a blood clot. And when it's stationary, it's called a thrombosis. And when it travels, it's called an emboli. And that's when we get into trouble because it can enlarge in the heart or the lungs or the brain. She also has a repeat DVT in 2009. Then in December 2012, December 12th, 2012, is when she fell and had that concussion. And at the end of December, she was getting an MRI, and another blood clot was discovered, this time in her brain, which is called a CVT.
Now, the Trump campaign, Dr. Ratcliffe, has called her even brain damaged. Katrina Pearson has come out and called her brain damaged. Is that fair game? Should that be a concern for the American people? All of this timeline that Dr. Powers just went through.
Well, I have to go back and say I hope that Secretary Clinton is perfectly healthy, but I do join with other medical professionals, including President Obama's former physician, recommending that she has a complete neurological evaluation. The Office of the Presidency requires tremendous skills. There's tremendous responsibilities, there's tremendous powers, and we want to know that she's completely fit. The public wants to know, and they have a right to know.
Well, if I may, I'm not here, obviously, to give medical opinion. I am not a doctor, but I had a concussion maybe in about 2011 or 2012, and I had some ramifications from that throughout that period, but now I'm perfectly able to practice law. I'm here with you guys this morning. But again, I'm not a medical professional.
You had one concussion, and you saw that incredible timeline there. I want to dive into some of these. I want to take a look at this email, because here was a message discussing Hillary Clinton's scheduling at the time. This is from Huma Abedin, of course, she's been in the press the past week for unfortunate things. Have you been going over calls with her for tomorrow? Hanley writes, we'll go over with her. Abedin says, it's very important to do that. She's often confused about the schedule. Doc, that's not good a sign.
Again, you know, a lot of this is subjective findings. You know, according to, I was reading in a neurology magazine, and they were saying that when you look at imaging of a concussion, you can see brain damage, but it's very hard to tell, and it's almost impossible to tell if someone has memory loss. Really what we rely on is subjective findings and, of course, evaluation. So as physicians, what we would need to find, what we need to look at is more in-depth medical records.
Well, I mean, she was confused, and this was only a month later. This was a month after the concussion. Is that normal?
Well, most people do completely recover, but there are some that go on to have post-concussive syndrome. And by her own report, she is describing headaches, difficulty with vision, memory loss, which may suggest that she has that. Most of this resolves within 6 months, but there are a minority that continue to have long-term effects. And we're seeing this with the NFL and professional athletes, that concussions can have long-term effects. And again, this is the most powerful position in our land.
Does she open herself up legally with this type of defense?
Actually, I think that the medical diagnosis or the medical opinions actually legitimize the responses that she was giving to the FBI. If she's saying she doesn't recall if she was concussed or was having consequences of a concussion or other health issues, she really would not have known, and that would have been the correct and honest answer to give to the FBI.
All right, guys, great to see you this morning. Erin, Kelly, Nina, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.